Hello friends, this is Roxanne, and today, I'm going to recap the 2022 anime movie called One Piece Red. The movie begins with a reel, showing recordings of several citizens around the world mentioning how much they've suffered from the violence of pirates and how much they've lost because of them, begging to the one watching to help them. We see Uta has been receiving all these comments through Den Den Mushi from her viewers. Uta prepares herself as thousands of people are gathering just outside at Elgia Island, where the new Genesis live concert is about to begin. The Straw Hats are also there and cooking a barbecue, with some of them explaining that Uta is the world's greatest and most famous singer. Uta has attained massive fame by streaming her songs via Den Den Mushi. However, now she is performing for the first time on a live stage in front of an audience, and thousands of people from all over the world came to support her. The lights go dark on stage and Uta appears. She begins to sing New Era, the first of her songs. We see that people from all over the world are watching her concert too on Den Den Mushi livestream. After singing the song, Uta greets the audience and mentions how she wants to usher in a new era that will put a stop to the violence of pirates, in a world where everyone will be happy for all of eternity. As Uta was performing, Luffy seemed to recognize her. He swings up on stage and looks at her up close. Uta takes a second and notices Luffy's face as her hair perks up, so the two tearfully embrace each other in a hug. Sanji grits his teeth in jealousy. Luffy's crew is surprised that he knows Uta so personally that they would hug, but Luffy casually explains that it's because she's Shanks' daughter, causing the entire auditorium to go in shock. A group of pirates called the Jellyfish Pirates start moving from the audience to close in on Uta, claiming that given her fame, they can gain a lot off of kidnapping her. As they surround her, suddenly Charlotte Oven jumps in from the crowd and sends some of them flying with his Heat Danashi attack. Oven pulls out a mirror from where Burly comes out and they announce that Big Mom has shown interest in kidnapping Uta. Luffy and the others jump in to protect Uta, with the Straw Hats showing a bunch of their moves. Jinbei creates a giant shark made of water and rides against Oven, but Oven negates the attack with his heat. However, just as things are getting heated, Uta raises her hand asking everyone to stop. Uta asks the Big Mom Pirates and the Jellyfish Pirates to stop being pirates and just get along together, but the pirates obviously dismiss this idea. Uta then accepts their refusal and begins singing I'm the Best. As she does, colorful objects and effects appear around her again, and she transforms into her armor. She dances around the arena, using music notes to attack and strings in the shape of music sheet to entrap her enemies. She instantly defeats Oven and Burly by wrapping them up in strings, as well as the Jellyfish Pirates, hanging all of them up on a music sheet in the air. Uta starts flying around the stage as she keeps singing while Luffy is really impressed that she's gotten that much stronger. After the song is over, we cut to Whole Cake Island, where Big Mom, sporting a new outfit, is watching the live show. Big Mom is impressed Uta was able to stand up to Oven that easily, but is now even more interested in capturing her, not just for her devil fruit powers, but also for her connections to Shanks. Someone appears from behind them and says they'll go to Elgia Island since they want to save their little sister, and the guy shown to be Katakuri. Meanwhile we cut to Mary Geos, where the Gorosei are observing the concert as well. They are intrigued that Uta is the daughter of Shanks, but the sword-wielding Gorosei mentions that this would mean she's from the Figureland family. More than anything though, they are concerned by Uta's abilities and her connection with a weapon from ancient times that lies dormant in Elgia Island called Top Musica. We cut to Sakazuki at New Marineford, who is also concerned about the situation, summoning 30 marine battleships to completely annihilate Uta and the threat she poses. Kizaru and Fujitora head to take care of Uta alongside the fleet. Meanwhile, Uta takes advantage of break time in her concert to talk a bit with Luffy. Uta asks Luffy where Shanks is, but Luffy says he doesn't know. She brings up the hat, but Luffy says Shanks simply left it with him before he left. We get a flashback of Luffy and Uta during their childhood and the time they spent together. Uta asks what Luffy's doing at the moment, which of course Luffy replies he's a pirate, adding that he'll become the Pirate King. Uta freezes up for a moment and starts shaking, but she tries to regain her composure as she asks Luffy to stop being a pirate. Luffy however just walks away and ignores her, as Uta grows impatient and angrier. Luffy simply says that it's only fair Uta should do what she wants, and he should do what he wants. He says he's glad to have seen her again and bids her goodbye, but Uta refuses and states that she absolutely can't let him go. Uta shows a smirk on her face as her eyes begin to look more deranged. Nami tells Uta to calm down, but Uta pushes her away with a music note. Sanji tries to save Nami, but Uta captures the two of them into a music and hangs them up for the audience to see. Uta begins singing Backlight, sprouting two wings with her powers as she summons a horde of music note knights with her powers who start fighting the Straw Hats. Luffy gets in his gear second pose to fight Uta, but then realizes something and stops. He pulls his hat down, imitating Shanks, and says there are some fights not worth fighting. Uta gets angry and unleashes her powers on the other Straw Hats. They all fight back, but little by little, are very easily folded in front of Uta. Luffy finally decides to try fighting back when his crewmates are in danger, but Uta uses her strings to tie him up and throw him on stage. Before Uta can attack Luffy, suddenly a barrier is erected around Luffy, and Bartolomeo mentions he is happy to help his boss out. Away from the stage, on another side of Elgia Island closer to the city, Luffy and Barto suddenly appear. Turns out that it was Law who saved them with his powers. All of them begin moving away to safety as Uta appears and follows after them with a music-designed tank and an army of her followers in tow. As Luffy's team seeks shelter, the mysterious man Gordon suddenly appears, and invites them to take refuge in a ruined church. He introduces himself as the former king of Elgia. He explains how Elgia was once known as the world's capital of music, until a certain pirate came 12 years ago and annihilated all on the island overnight. Uta, who had been left behind, was then raised by Gordon to become the best singer there is, but Uta was in a really bad mental state due to a certain trauma from her past and struggled to find any motivation. Gordon pleads Luffy to help stop Uta since he's so close to her, but Uta suddenly bursts into the room and steals Luffy's straw hat from him. She tries to capture him, but Law takes him and Bartolomeo away with his abilities to save them once again. Gordon mentions how he's realized her true plan and begs her to stop, but Uta traps him in a music sheet. Gordon tells her he's just concerned because there's no way the government will sit back and do nothing. Uta however dismisses it with a smile and says she can handle them no problem, as she brings out a music sheet. The music sheet is very old and above it the text, Taught Musica. Meanwhile, Kobe makes use of Bruno's powers to rescue the Straw Hats, and teaches them the trick to break free from the music sheets, which is to play the respective note they are assigned to. Oven pleads to save them too and agrees to cooperate with the Marines for their freedom. Meanwhile, Gordon also does the same, and manages to break free of Uta's powers. We then cut to a different scenario where the island is somehow surrounded with marine ships and the weather is stormy. Kobe explains the intel the government has on Uta's fruit, elaborating that she ate the Uta-Uta no Mi, a fruit that allows her to entrap all those who hear her music into a virtual dream world that she has full control over. Her powers as we see them include being able to generate items out of thin air, transform people into cute chibi mascots, trap people in music sheets, summon music note knights, and attack people with music note-like attacks, though she can only control reality within range of her vicinity. Means the body of anyone who has been trapped within the dream world can be freely manipulated by Uta in the real world while they sleep, allowing her to command all the bodies of those she trapped like an army of sleeping puppets, while their consciousnesses are trapped in a virtual world that they can't leave. Furthermore, if you die in the game, you die in real life. Law mentions that there has to be a weakness to the devil fruit, and Bruno affirms that the Uta-Uta no Mi requires a lot of stamina to use, so it's hard to be kept continuously. However, Uta has managed to find a way to circumvent this weakness. Uta has been consuming a drug known as the insomnia mushroom, a mushroom that stops someone from falling asleep when eaten. Since Uta has been eating them since before the live concert, she can't fall asleep, essentially trapping everyone within her dream world forever. However, the mushroom has the side effect that it starts affecting one's sanity after a while due to sleep deprivation, and continuous consumption leads to the body weakening from the lack of sleep, eventually causing death. Fujitora recognizes the smell of the insomnia mushrooms and catches onto Uta's plan, asking her to release everyone, but Uta refuses. Fujitora realizes Uta won't listen to reason and sees himself forced to resort to violence. But Uta isn't afraid of even the admirals, as she can just trap them in her world, so she begins to sing. However, all the Marines put on visors with a red light that shield their sight and plug their ears, which makes them immune to Uta's powers. Uta then starts performing fleeting lullaby, causing the civilians to swarm onto the Marines. Bruno, Oven, and many others begin to hunt down the Marines, as they become overwhelmed and even Fujitora is kept at bay. Suddenly, Saint Charlos appears before Uta, who came to the concert to take her back with him to marry Gios because of her pretty voice. Charlos offers to buy Uta for 1 billion berry, but Uta refuses, calling Charlos an old pathetic geezer who is part of the detestable celestial dragons. Charlos orders his bodyguards to shoot Uta down with their guns. Uta easily blocks the bullets with her powers as she laughs it off, but both bodyguards are shot down by Charlos, who calls them incompetent. Uta suddenly enters in shock and desperately tries fixing their wounds with her powers. Being traumatized by the sight of blood, she uses her powers to entrap Charlos and the bodyguards in a music sheet. Kobe then appears on stage through Bruno's DOA no Mi. The audience is shocked to see that the hero who saved the people of Rocky Port has appeared, and Kobe explains to the audience how Uta's powers work and how she deceived them all. Uta tries to argue that she didn't deceive them, but some people are getting fed up with her. With the young kid Yorueka from the promotional material deciding to leave, Uta tells him that they can't leave, because in her world they'll be happy forever. She realizes how she was wrong, and she simply has to force everyone to have more fun, drowning the stage in a deluge of water which turns anyone who touches it into chibi mascots and other cute items. The crowd desperately tries to avoid escaping the water, but they are all slowly turned chibi, including Saint Charlos. Kobe and Bruno manage to escape the deluge last moment, but as they leap into the air door, Bruno is hit by the water and is turned chibi as well, but Kobe manages to make it out. Robin mentions that she has found something, explaining that the music sheet taught Musica serves as the vessel where the weapon known as the Devil King was trapped within. In ancient times, legend says that the negative emotions of people came together to form a demonic creature that people called the Devil King. Its power was so strong that it is very much capable of destroying the world, and Uta is the only one that can awaken this monster by singing the music on the sheet. Gordon appears with Beepo and says that they should have faith that Shanks will appear. Luffy asks Gordon about what happened with Shanks, but Gordon refuses to elaborate. So Luffy just leaps ahead and leaves into the forest to go fight Uta. Uta meets Luffy in the middle of the sea she's created. She begins to attack him, and the two of them clash for a while. Uta feels offended by him holding back and comes out on top by just generating water that weakens Luffy. Luffy falls to his knees debilitated by the water. Uta asks Luffy why he is so desperate to become the Pirate King, but Luffy exclaims that it's for the sake of a new era. Uta is irritated by this claim, grabbing Luffy's hat and pulling it apart. Luffy panics and begs Uta to stop, but she keeps pulling as the hat is ripped in half. Luffy is furious, but says that even if he lost, he has faith that Shanks will come to help out. Uta finds it pathetic that Luffy needs to be saved by Shanks, but Luffy says he wasn't talking about Shanks coming to save him, but coming to save Uta. Uta smiles and explains what really happened on Elgia 12 years ago. Shanks took Uta to show her musical talent at Elgia, which marveled and astounded the people of the island due to her being a singing prodigy. Uta really enjoyed herself there, so Shanks encouraged her to stay behind to learn music at the island's academy. Shanks mentioned how there is no peace or equality in this world, but that music can help deliver joy. However, Uta began crying, wanting to stay as the red-hair pirate's musician forever, but Shanks told her to forget about it and that they'll depart together tomorrow. However, Uta woke up during the night and saw the entire island in flames. She ran out and found Gordon, who cursed the red-haired pirates for killing all on the island. Uta asked where Shanks was, but Gordon mentioned Shanks simply used Uta's singing abilities to approach the island and then take advantage of a surprise attack to take Elgia's many famed riches and wealth. Refusing to believe this, Uta ran to the shore only to see the Red Force in the distance and the red hair pirates partying on it, all happy and peppy, not caring that they left Uta behind. Cut back to the real world. Uta is talking to a sleeping Luffy. At the same time that she is talking to the Luffy in the dream world, the real straw hat is still intact, since the one she broke is only the one in the dream world. But she places the real hat on top of the real world Luffy and pulls out a dagger. She lifts it up in the air, ready to take Luffy's life. However, it's stopped by a hand that grabs Uta. As Uta looks up, she asks, "What are you doing here?" To which the person replies, "I've come to hear my daughters singing." Shanks and his crew all stand in the rain smiling, while Uta tries to hold back the tears. All the straw hats and the others try to attack her, but she manages to fend off their attacks with her powers. Suddenly, in the real world, a marine shoots a civilian. Uta snaps at the person who has been shot and tries to do what she can to stop the man's bleeding. Kizaru tries to take advantage of the situation and leaps into the air to attack, but Shanks instantly nullifies the attack with one swing of his sword. Kizaru tries to shoot another laser beam, but Shanks pushes away every single laser beam with his sword, cutting in half one of the stage mountains in the process. Kizaru moves away at light speed, but as soon as he reforms, Shanks has already hunted him down and has his sword on Kizaru's neck. In the dream world, Uta is on the verge of a mental breakdown, slamming the barrier, and pulls out the top Musica sheet. Meanwhile, in the real world, Kizaru once again tries to attack, but Beckman puts a rifle up against him, to which Kizaru raises his arms in a very delightful callback. Kizaru comments how ironic it is that it's pirates protecting civilians from the Marines, but mentions how at this point that top Musica has been unleashed, it's basically pointless to fight back Uta's powers. The Devil King appears from the ground, appearing in both the real world and the virtual world. Shanks leaps in to attack the Devil King, but even his powerful attacks is being pushed back. Meanwhile, in the virtual world, everyone begins attacking, but Luffy stands still, not wanting to attack Uta. Uta summons her spear and sends it flying to pierce through Luffy. However, Gordon jumps in the way and gets stabbed in Luffy's place. He reveals the truth of what really happened all that time ago. Uta found the music sheet of top Musica lying around. Uta then naively sang this music sheet she found at the party, unknowing that she just unleashed the weapon that is the Devil King upon the world. Top Musica took over Uta's body to wreak havoc on the island, wiping away its entire population in a matter of instants. However, the red-haired pirates fought back, with Shanks leaped into the air and used a powerful attack to pierce through the Devil King's chest while flying. As Gordon, the only survivor, was saved by the red-haired pirate's Dr. Hongo, Shanks asked him to never tell Uta the truth because it would be too much for her. We also find out that when the red-haired pirates were partying as they left, they were in reality crying, overcome with sadness, but tried to hide their tears because they wanted Uta to forget about them and move on. Uta begins to tear up, calling out Luffy's name. However, she is engulfed in music notes, as her body is absorbed into top Musica. The Devil King begins to transform even further into its final form and sprouts a pair of Lunarian black wings on its back. The skulls on its chest become 5 and it becomes gigantic. Kobe forms a plan and everyone gets information as they prepare to attack on Kobe's command. They all charge in and begin to attack the Devil King. Luffy regains consciousness and turning into Gear 4th, and ready for battle. Meanwhile, in the real world, Shanks alone is fending off top Musica but isn't able to deal much damage either. Some music note knights try to attack Shanks but are hit by blocks of mochi. Katakuri appears behind Shanks, and when Shanks inquires about what Big Mom's son is doing here, he says he'll lend him a hand, since he wants to save his sister. From within the virtual world, Luffy gets ready to attack but he suddenly feels a presence and exclaims, "Shanks." In the real world, Shanks also notices Luffy, and encourages him to attack together. At the same time, Usopp tries to use his observation haki, but he suddenly hears a voice in his head. Usopp mentions how, "You finally realized, dumb son," and explains to him how they can use both of their really good observation haki to coordinate attacks between the real world and the virtual world so that top Musica can be brought down. Usopp is overcome with joy to hear his father and gets ready to fight by his side. Shanks raises his sword as it is enveloped in what look like flames. Kobe opens up with a kick and Zoro jumps ahead and coats his swords in Advanced Conqueror's Haki, which looks like green flames. Together with Beckman shooting with his rifle, they strike top Musica together, with Zoro destroying one of its limbs. Jinbe and Lucky Roo attack together, spinning a bowling ball, and destroying another limb. Howling Gab and Sanji attack together, with Oven casting fire onto Sanji, helping him turn his legs flames blue as he enters Ifrit Jam. Together with Katakuri and Howling Gab using his pacifist-like laser, Sanji strikes top Musica and destroys another limb. All the Straw Hats keep attacking together with the red-haired pirates, hitting critical parts of top Musica's body and destroying away its arms and legs. Finally, Usopp and Yasopp combine and shoot top Musica, who tries to block the attack but is stopped by Frankie and Building Snake, allowing Usopp and Yasopp's attack to land. All of the Devil King's limbs are now gone. Luffy enters Snakeman form and the Devil King tries to hunt him down with its lasers, but Luffy keeps evading and charging up his attack. The two rush ahead, but as they are overwhelmed by a blast from top Musica, Shanks remembers a moment from the past. 19 years ago, when Shanks was still 20, he raided a pirate ship with his crew. Among the loot from the ship, he found a treasure chest but heard something from within it. Inside was a young baby, a 2-year-old Uta. Shanks was shocked by this, as he thought back to the past, with the scene shifting to God Valley. There, 38 years ago, Roger, Rayleigh, and Gabon looked into a treasure chest they plundered from the island, and inside found a red-haired baby, Shanks at age 1, with a note with his name on it. Back to the present, Luffy and Shanks are emotionally overwhelmed by their memories together with Uta. Luffy's eyebrows change as he begins to morph and his hair and clothes turn pure white. Luffy enters Gear 5th and readies a massive attack, while Shanks unleashes a massively powerful Advanced Conqueror's Haki attack that coats his blade in a powerful aura. Both planes fuse together and side by side, Shanks and Luffy stand together as they shoot their attacks. Their combined attack charges forward and envelopes top Musica, who receives the full blunt of the attack, causing it to explode as it lets out a devilish shriek. Everyone rejoices but realizes that they somehow aren't returning to the real world. Robin realizes top Musica becoming so strong resulted in the two planes remaining divided. Uta is now in Shanks' arms and Shanks gives her some medicine that Hongo brought to help her sleep. Uta however tosses the medicine away, and says that if she falls asleep then top Musica's influence will still keep them trapped in the virtual world, and how the only way to free them now is to use her powers. Uta then sings her song which reaches into the virtual world, embracing everyone in a beautiful golden light as they calmly fall asleep with smiles on their faces. Monster brings out a Den Den Mushi in front of Uta, which connects to the broadcast that was going on, releasing everyone all around the world from the virtual world as well. Shanks stands with Uta in his arms with the Straw Hats still sleeping around him. Uta thanks Shanks for coming after her despite her not believing in him. However, their reunion is cut short by the Marines, who all aim their weapons and surround them. The Red Hair Pirates get in battle formation to fight against the Marines, but Shanks simply says that Uta is his daughter, and she is precious family. As Uta breaks into tears, Shanks proudly proclaims that he will not let anyone lay a hand on his daughter, unleashing a massive Conqueror's Haki blast that shakes the entire sea and creates waves. His Haki blast knocks out every single Marine outside of the admirals. Kizaru begins to profusely sweat and Fujitora retreats his sword. Shanks tells Uta not to worry, because the real new era is almost here. Uta goes to Luffy and apologizes for everything she's done and brings out Luffy's straw hat within the dream world, fixing it back. She mentions how this hat is important to her too, and as she approaches Luffy and puts it on his head, she tells him that one day, that hat will suit him better than anyone before him. She gets close to Luffy but the scene cuts as Luffy wakes up. Luffy realizes he is on the deck of the Sunny, already leaving Elgia Island. Most of the Straw Hats are asleep, though Jinbe, Frankie, and Zoro are awake. Luffy asks Zoro where Shanks went, but Zoro points out to the side of the ship with the bottle. Luffy gets up and looks ahead at the sea, where he can see the Red Force. he and Shanks turn facing their backs on each other, as they somberly depart ways, silently saying goodbye to the girl that influenced their lives and dreams so much. And so, the movie ends with it. So friends, if you have enjoyed the recap of the movie, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have any movies on your mind, which you want me to recap, then tell me in the comments below. Thank you.